The Padres have a golden opportunity. Let me explain to you what that has to do with a Baltimore Oriole and how he could be, or one of them could be, the solution to the Padres' issues out in left field. What's going on, everybody? I'm Christian Pedersen, back with another episode of Padres Digest. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is the part of the show where I just remind you all that I'm just a random dude on the internet helping ride emotionally shotgun for the season that is the up and down roller coaster of being a Padres fan. And this is part of the show where I always ask, can you hit the subscribe button? It would be much appreciated. All right, let's talk about baseball. I showed you a Baltimore Oriole. I would like to talk about the Baltimore Orioles and how I think the Padres right now have a golden opportunity to pick themselves up a potential solution to the offensive issues, the specifically left field issues, a couple of different versions of how you want to break that down. Let's look at this chart here from this tweet. I think that WAR, there's a bunch of other different stats that you can use as your thing that you really are like, oh, this is my base way core that I analyze a player. This is not necessarily me endorsing this as the best way to analyze players, but it's just a nicely put together tweet that's kind of summarizes good in a visual sense where the Padres are on some of these positions. Looking at these numbers top to bottom, obviously Manny and right, Manny in third, Nando in right. There are some of those that are really high ranks that are just obvious. I would say being top half is where I would always aim for, like, in aggregate, if all of your players are top half, that is good. So that's, 15-1, anyone in that range. So looking up and down at this, second base is below that. Jake Cronenworth didn't necessarily play a ton of the season with his rib injuries so far, so I will give that a pass. Catcher is below it. We have other videos talking about the situation and how there really isn't a good immediate upgrade option, so it is definitely one of the issues the Padres have as a team. Left field and DH. DH is a weird one because Gavin Sheets has been hitting really well, but some of that has been at first base, and some of that has actually now been in left field, and 20th, though, is not the end of the world. So left field is the other one where we have an issue. So catcher and left fielder. Catcher and left fielder, I don't think are adequately or evenly graded in terms of their defensive contributions. Like, having a good defensive catcher that works well with the team, and Maldonado, he's doing his little slide that he does, and he seems to be exactly what the Padres wanted when they said they wanted a veteran guy who's been around a bunch of World Series, has that high caliber, with, like, yada, 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 check the box in terms of any other cliches that you want to say about a defensive catcher. That works. Left field, I don't think you have that same significance of their defensive contribution, so the options haven't worked out so far. That's where enter the Baltimore Orioles. I don't know what the Baltimore Orioles, unless Luis Urias is playing for the Baltimore Orioles, and that's what I was going for there. Enter the Baltimore Orioles. This gentleman right here is Ryan O'Hearn. The Orioles, for those of you that don't know, are not having a fantastic season as of us recording this. They have already fired one manager this season. They are 16 games under 500. They are in a tough division with the Yankees that you can assume that maybe they are right on that borderline of, like, I don't think they want to blow it up because they have a couple of really solid core young pieces. But the way it is right now, I don't think them coming in and hiring a manager or a GM or anything fixes the immediate. Like, there's just obviously some pieces not exactly working here. And so looking through the roster, I showed you Ryan O'Hearn, but there's three names that all come to me as an interesting option, and I saw some different tweets breaking down different ways to analyze it. So let's go through the names and the numbers of Baltimore Orioles that I think Padres could get for a great deal. Ryan O'Hearn, first one. Ryan Mountcastle is the second one, and then Cedric Mullins, the third one. Cedric Mullins may be the biggest of the names there, unless you're a real inside baseball person. Mullins has been an all-star. He, though, is maybe the least interesting of the three. Let me let's go through the stats. We'll start with Ryan O'Hearn stats and drop a comment as we go through all of these. Which of these guys you like, which of these guys you like more, like less, and other possible trade options. This is Ryan O'Hearn. All of these guys are interesting to me because they are all at the ends of deals. And are Mullins is the least affordable, O'Hearn, then Mountcastle in that order. But they are none of these guys are like $26 million that the Padres would need to eat. So I think we're looking at guys who the Padres can, and I don't want, I would love to say let's offload Hayward and this, that. This would probably be the Padres having to make a mid-tier departure of somebody on the younger side, like some maybe combo of two AAA relievers or a reliever, a starter, and cash considerations, international draft. Like the guys that I'm talking about all feel like there are not just a straight we can dump our veteran lame duck stuff, but we can still cut or eat that or keep Hayward on the bench or any combo of whatever there. But I think that we can get any of these guys we're talking about right now for a pretty reasonable, like something that you would not say is highway robbery, given that the Orioles are going to lose at least one of these three, assuming to free agency. If the team is looking the way it's looking right now, project that out over a season, they're going to want to change some of these pieces. So as we go through, like I said, you let me know which one of these you do or don't like. O'Hearn's probably hitting the best. I shouldn't say probably. He is hitting the best numerically out of all of them. And we can get into none of these guys are probably, as these are Ryan Mountcastle's stats, and none of these guys are like the perfect fix and would probably end up in a platoon-ish situation where you just want to maximize their ability to hit righties or lefties in conjunction with whatever else the Padres are throwing out there in left. If it's Brandon Lockridge, if it's calling up Turso from AAA, if it's Hayward, if it's, we've seen Gavin Sheets out there in left a couple of times in the last few days, and whether or not that's a permanent solution. Maybe that's the solution. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe none of these trades are good. But where I'm saying, like, if we can get these guys for somewhat pennies on the dollar, I think they would be a really good option. The last one to talk about, we will pull up here. These are Cedric Mullins' stats. Mullins, the most expensive of all of them, the hitting the worst of all of them. But that's where I'm just thinking of everything that the Orioles have right now. An expensive guy who's not hitting well is not one that you're going to re-sign at max value. So probably you can see a mutual parting of the ways in there, and not, I don't want a 240 Cedric Mullins. Like, that doesn't fix the Padres' issues out in left. But getting a Cedric Mullins in exchange for some meager amount of cash considerations, a reliever that's ultimately not going to be our dude in the minors and maybe stresses the depth during the regular season a little bit in the dog days of summer, but like the pieces that we don't need right now for this championship run, I say take a run at one of these guys. You can roll them out for the 5, 10, 15, whatever it is, starts to see if they got anything. If not, they become a platoon player that at the end of the year, what a weird little stint where it's like you see the TikToks where it's like, hey, random guys that you forgot were Padres for 70 days or something like that. So I think this is a golden opportunity to poach what is left of the Baltimore Orioles carcass this year and get ourselves someone that we can take a flyer on and see if we can't get a little bit of a change of scenery revival out of the second half of their season. Let me know, though, what you think anyways of any of these specific guys or of these trades in general, or if you just like Sheets out there and left and you think it's all going to work itself out, or maybe if Sheets is in left, you want to something like that. Let me know. Like I said also at the beginning, if you could hit the subscribe button, it would be much appreciated. Until next time, keep the faith, Padres fans. 2025 just keeps on getting better and better.